But let's move on to other clues we get as to where society is going to go. And I want to say thank you to Kate, one of the UK column viewers and a very long-term supporter, who pointed out the Ministry of Defence's Global Strategic Trends. The Future starts today, the 6th edition. This is from 2018, I believe. I've just pulled out a couple of interesting things, but let's set the scene first of all. It says that it describes a strategic context for defence and security looking out to the middle of the century. It takes a comprehensive view of the future, derived through research headed by the Development, Concepts and Doctrine Centre. Now, the MOD goes to lengths to say that this only represents the view of DCDC. It doesn't represent MOD opinion, but of course it's got the MOD logo there, top left. So I think this is a bit fancy waistcoats. It does have signatures by people, General Sir Nick Carter and the Permanent Secretary Stephen Lovegrove. So surprising, isn't it, in an age of digital supremacy, that they actually need to get a wet pen out and put a smudge on the paper.
I suspect neither of those people could do anything else. But anyway.
Right, okay. Well, anyway, let's have a look at what caught my attention as I scanned 200 pages. It said erosion of state sovereignty. The nation state is expected to remain the primary actor in shaping societies and global politics for at least the next 30 years. That, to me, said after that, there's going to be something different.
Yeah.
And so now what we're into, this is the military working hand in glove with civil authorities about the future and how we're going to live. And somebody in the chat box, as the news was rolling a few minutes ago, and Ben was talking, said, well, how does all this benefit the UK? Well, the answer is all of the AI is not to benefit UK. It is to move us through into the next stage of society, which is beyond the nation state. I'll leave you to think about that. I also pulled out this one here. We just highlight the paragraph. It says that a whole of society approach to defensive and offensive measures in the information space is necessary to ensure protection against physical and cognitive attack and subversion of society, for example, through legislation and education. So what they're telling us here is that we are just not capable of looking out the window or scanning through a newspaper and understanding what's real or not. The government is going to have to protect us, and they are going to have to monitor these systems in both an offensive and a defensive way. And that, to my mind, links into your commentary earlier on, Mike. So people really should have a look at this. I'll do some more delving into this document, but very, very dangerous. We've got a blurring now of what is military and what is civilian. And I think this bodes extremely badly for a future, particularly if it's run by AI working at the level of a cat. But let's end on a little bit of black humour, and what better place to go than the BBC? Let's just have a look at their fact-checking team in action.
This was the scene in the Ukrainian capital Kyiv yesterday. Parts of a children's hospital totally destroyed. It happened during a Russian airstrike, but Russia say this damage was caused by a Ukrainian air defense missile. Ukraine says it's found remnants of a Russian cruise missile. So who's right? Two videos we verified are crucial to investigating Russian claims. In the first, you can see a huge plume of smoke in the distance before a moment of impact. The second video is crucial, and we've slowed it down so you can see this missile moments before impact. So just watch it here. And you can see that coming down. We'll actually stop and zoom in for you. You can see it right there. Now, it's worth bearing in mind, this is a still and it's very blurry freeze frame. But we showed this video to 7 weapons experts who regularly review grainy footage just like this. And all of them said that this is not a surface-to-air defense missile as the Russians have claimed. For example, one of them, Timothy Wright from International Institute for Strategic Studies, said the missile speed, angle of attack, profile, and especially its sound, the sound of a high-pitched turbofan, is very prominent and a dead giveaway, and are consistent with an air-breathing land attack cruise missile. Now, this is a Russian cruise missile, and one of its identifying features is the turbo engine at the rear. And that's what some of our experts have focused on, particularly this one, Andrei Genon, who's one of them, and he said it's almost certainly a KH-101. The distinguishing feature of that missile is the turbofan engine at the rear that juts out, appearing like a small box. Now, we've overlaid a model of the KH-101 on top of the freeze frame of the video we showed you earlier. Now, nobody's been absolutely definitive about the exact missile used, but they all agreed that it was likely an air-launched Russian missile. 5 of the 7 mentioned a Russian KH-101 as a possibility, in line with what Ukraine has said.
Well, I'm just going to say that I think this was really a brilliant piece of production by the BBC, because, of course, they didn't show you the evidence of those so-called experts. We don't even know who they are. They simply choose one that said it was almost certain. But if you listen to the whole clip, what this girl is constantly saying is these are very, very blurry photographs and they're very difficult. But if we just show the meat of what the BBC did on screen, so she brought up on her very big shiny touchscreen this picture of the missile coming down in shadowy top sort of right in the picture, and then the BBC's Russian KH-101 cruise missiles. As the video moved on, we started to see one overlaid until you get to this point where in the minds of the viewer, overwhelmingly, they will believe that it was that missile. So this is sleight of hand. I'm going to say this is BBC witchcraft rather than fact-checking, but this is how the BBC is attempting to put facts across. So despicable work by the BBC, and of course no facts at all, just supposition and interfering with the public's perception. Huge amount of questions still to be asked around this particular incident.
Yeah. Okay, well, we've got to leave it there for today. Thanks to Brian and Ben. We will be back in a few minutes if you're a UK column member for Extra. Stick around on the member stream for that.
And just before we go, I'm going to put up an old UK column newspaper. Many of you simply don't know that we used to produce these editions. This is 2013. And in the cartoon, we're talking about the cabal destroying Britain with big society, the media gagged, secret courts, the NHS wrecked, the military betrayed, paedophiles protected, the police threatened, genocide overseas, and banking fraud. And I'm going to say we weren't far wrong, Mike.
No, and if you want to know more about that, and you haven't seen the UK Column Live virtual event that we did a few weeks ago, you better go and have a look at that. That would be great. And but otherwise, join us on Extra, where I'm sure we're going to be talking about this some more.
We will. See you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.